Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Walmart in Plano, Texas. As always, please hit that like button and also follow me on Instagram at Grow Folds, as well as hitting that subscribe button with the notification bell on if you like 1 hour plant shopping videos daily. I love to create this content for you. So today I will be taking you alongside to go to this Walmart, which is out in Plano, Texas. It's a suburb out in Dallas, Texas, which is where I am based at. So we're gonna see what kind of plants that we have available at this location. I just got off of work, and so I thought I'd look at some of the plants here. This Walmart particularly has a lot of the philodendrons that I first found, a bunch of like fancy alocasia. And you know, when it comes to big box store plant shopping, you will save a little bit more money as compared to maybe local plant store shopping. So we're gonna see what plants we can find here. I'm gonna see if we have some easy to care for plants and just kind of give you some commentary on what plants are available. So let's take a look as we walk into the entrance right over here, my plant foldies. And if I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies, so for those that are new, that's what I call my viewers and subscribers, plant foldies. Check this out. It looks like we've got some Costa Farm plants right here. We've got a monstera deliciosa. We've got some phalaenopsis orchids, I believe, that are on clearance for $10. And you know, with phalaenopsis orchids, they will clearance them out, especially when the blooms are about to be over. If you want a cheap phalaenopsis orchids, obviously buying them on clearance when they don't have blooms is probably the best time. It does take a minute for the phalaenopsis orchids to rebloom again, but have no fear, they will rebloom under certain conditions. And I can go into detail about that later, but you can see here right at the entrance, they've got some large foliage plants, and then we're gonna walk over here and see what plants that they have. You can see that it is not that busy right now, and we're gonna see what plants we can find over here. But before we look at the plants, we're going to look at some of the planters. So I have been seeing a lot of posts about how Walmart has been putting their planters on sale. This white planter here, though, is for $8.97. I do like the look of this planter. I like the fact that it has like a matte finish. This one is not on sale, but we can see right over here, this was $11.48. It is now for $9.94. I do like this planter. It would do very well for like succulent arrangement. This is also by Better Homes and Gardens. I like that line that Walmart has. Better Homes and Gardens has some really nice modern contemporary planters. This one I've always looked at. That one is a hanging basket planter. What else do we have going over here? So you can see there's a lot of different types of planters. This one I actually saw on Instagram. This one has the monstera Thai constellation print. This one is also on sale for $4.97. So I think it is about that time when Walmart and some of these big box stores are going to start phasing out some of their spring planters. So this would be a good time to go to a big box store like Walmart so you can save some money on your planters. I am pretty particular about the planters I put in for my plants. I always believe that planters can make or break the aesthetic of a plant. And you can see here, this is actually a really good deal. I would say this is 50% off. It is now only for $9.94. I probably should get this planter considering it was $19.84. I could see myself putting a bunch of philodendron pink princess and a totem pole on there, or some type of beautiful pink aglaonema. So that's the thing about planters. You kind of want to look at the type of plant you're growing. So for instance, if you like dark foliage plants, I typically put them in like white planters. I like to mix and match like pink plants. I love pink plants. Like this one right here, this one is on sale. This one used to be $8.97. This is now for $4.84, I believe, or something of that nature. Either way, it at $4.97. Either way, it is on sale. I do like the fact that it has a matte finish for it. I probably should buy these as well, but but since I am taking a trip to the Philippines, for those that haven't been following me, I am Filipino and will be doing a vacation out there in the Philippines. I need to save a little bit of money. I am so broke when it comes to all of these plant shopping videos. I mean, I basically am in a big box store or a local plant nursery daily. As soon as I get off work, I have this routine of going to like a Walmart, a Lowe's, a Home Depot, a grocery store, so I can provide this content for you. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this plant shopping journey so far. You can see over here, we've got some beautiful gray planters. So what I like about gray planters or neutral planters is it can pretty much fit any type of plant aesthetic. I think it is one of the safer type of colors to put in a collection, but as I pan away over here, there's so many to choose from. So I'm just gonna keep showing you guys what is available. You can see over here, we've got some propagation stations. So you can see this one right here has a beautiful wooden one right here. Very modern as well. I do like wood finishes like that. And then Better Homes and Garden has that like propagation station here. We've got some plant stands as well. So I'm just gonna keep showing you guys what kind of planters and plant accessories we have available here. Now we're going to be looking at some of the plants here. So right off the bat, we have a philodendron birkin, beautiful philodendron birkin right over here. This one isn't as healthy looking as some of the philodendron birkin. That one is for $4.97. And then we've got a Costa Farms Trending Tropical. This is an Epipremnum aureum lemon meringue potho for $19.84. It isn't a self-watering planter. This one isn't looking that great either. You notice how it's got more of like a green on green variegation versus that yellow tone. But you can see here, we've got a ton of different types of plants. So I'm just gonna pan over here and kind of show you what we have available. It looks like they have all of those Phalaenopsis orchids again on clearance for $10. And then we've got a bunch of ZZ plants, Raven ZZ, Begonia maculata. So we're just gonna take a look at what plants we have here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up. This one is a Begonia maculata for $19.84. This is another Trending Tropicals plant. Love the Begonia maculata. It is a plant that I haven't had the best luck with, but luckily for my grandmother, who actually is the one person that's responsible for all of my plant obsessions. She taught me about plants. I grew plants, and she actually got me a free plant, a Begonia maculata, through a propagation that she made. She can grow begonias like they're weeds. They're super easy for her. For me, they're a little bit more challenging. And then over here, we've got a Raven ZZ plant there. Now with the Raven ZZ plant, or just ZZ plants in general, that is a house plant that I would recommend for any beginner. They're easy to care for. They can tolerate lower light conditions. They can tolerate drought conditions, and they just really thrive more so on more of like neglect. Obviously, you don't want to not water them, but if you don't water them for quite a bit of time, they're a little bit more forgiving versus some of the plants. This one right here is a Sansevieria trifasciata for $14.97. Another easy plant to take care of, but as I pan over here, we've got a lot to pick from. We've got a bunch of assorted bromeliads right over here. We've got a sago palm right over here. You can see this one right here. What I always find interesting with sago palms, and by the way, this is for $14.97. Again, in a self-watering planter. I like the new shoots that come out. I really think that that's super cool. And then this is a classic plant, one of my favorite plants. This is an Aglaonema red Siam, and notice how they've got those little catch pots in there. They're still in those little net pots as they planted them in a 6-inch planter. Now this one is for $14.97. So theoretically, you can separate this because there's 3 different Aglaonemas and have 3 different Aglaonema planters. Again, this is for $14.97. So that's another way to like get more value out of your plants. If you notice that there are multiple plants in a planter when you buy them at a big box store or even a local nursery, you can separate them and put them in separate pots. What I like about the Aglaonema, again, it is one of the easiest plants. It's another plant that I would recommend for anybody that wants an easy to care for house plant for beginners or even experts. Like if you have collected all of these like rare philodendron or rare plants, sometimes finding an easy care common plant is still worth putting in your collection, or at least I do believe so. Over here is a sago palm again. So what I talked about is look at the new growth of a sago palm. I think that's so cool. So it's going to go ahead and grow out some more leaves, but you can see how it just pops up like that. It's more of like a columnar shape, and then it folds over and becomes more of a palm. That one is also for $14.97. Now with palms in general, they need a lot of bright light. So I don't really have a lot of palms in my collection just because I don't have the best indoor lighting conditions. What ways to like improve indoor lighting conditions would be, you know, obviously adding grow lights. But for me, I want to just kind of rely on my natural light. I have a really nice west facing window in my bedroom, as well as like an east facing window. So I reserve a lot of my like high light plants for that, but I do add a bunch of like grow lights as well. Now over here is a geo plant. Now this is called a geonanthus plant. Very interesting plant. The texture is more of like a waxy feel about it. It's more plasticky. It doesn't even look like a real plant. That one doesn't look as healthy though. And then we have a bunch of Pachira aquatica or money tree plants. Now this one is also for $14.97. I do want to add a Pachira aquatica. And what I like about a Pachira aquatica is it's known to, or it's believed to be a good luck type plant. It's supposed to bring prosperity and money, hence the money tree name it gets. And then we've got some more plants here. This is a philodendron pink princess by Growers Bench, $24.97. If you're going to ask me though, I would refrain from buying this particular one. I feel like I would pay for it if it was like reduced to $5. That's the thing about some of these philodendron ring of fire as well. I remember finding them on clearance and it was still pretty healthy for $7. So that's the thing about big box store plant shopping. You want to be aware of like when plants can go on clearance. I know that it's really based on the actual plant vendor, and I know plant vendors typically clearance these out within a couple of weeks. So I always hold off from buying philodendron ring of fire, philodendron pink princess. I've really locked out in terms of when they go on clearance. Now these ones are really nice plants though by Growers Bench. I am really thankful that some of these hard to find philodendron are now readily accessible. It's one of those things where, you know, sometimes patience is really a virtue, especially when it goes to plant pricing. You know, any plant that is considered rare or uncommon, give it about a year or two and you will see that these plants will eventually reduce in price. And then over here we've got some pink anthuriums. Really love the look of these pink anthuriums as well. With anthurium plants, and these ones are also for $14.97. They come in so many different varieties. These are more of the floral type of anthurium, but if you ask me, and I say this in every video that I feature anthuriums, I'm more so interested in the foliage. Really love that super green foliage that we have for those anthuriums. Now anthuriums do require a lot of bright light in order for them to really thrive. But what's interesting is you can actually harvest seeds from them. You can pollinate them and get some different types of hybrids. And then over here is an Epipremnum aureum global green pothos. Now it's interesting because this is a self-watering planter for $20.96. So normally it's $19.84. So I don't know if like Walmart or Costa Farms has gone up on their pricing for some of these trending tropicals. I will say with Costa Farms trending tropicals, the most cheapest or inexpensive trending tropicals that I've seen being sold are for $16.99, and that is at a grocery store called Kroger. So if you have Kroger grocery store, that's another place I would recommend taking a look at in terms of buying your plants. Over here is an Epipremnum aureum golden pothos. This one is only for $9.97, and a beautiful hanging basket of Epipremnum aureum pearls and jade pothos. You know, this is one of my favorite plants because I do love that variegation. The difference between a pearls and jade pothos versus an enjoy pothos is this one has lighter green coloration on the leaves, and it has some speckling as well. Now this is everybody's favorite. This is a Hedera helix, or the correct way to say it is Hedera helix English ivy. For those that are new, I have to explain this in every video, but that is more of a plant foldy inside joke. When I started doing plant shopping videos, I was really saying Hedera helix. What the correct way to say it is Hedera helix. I know Hedera helix is not necessarily everybody's cup of tea, you know, the way I say it, but for those that really love the channel, y'all just keep keep count of how many times I say Hedera helix. I do have t-shirts that actually have a design for that, so I will be releasing it. So if you're interested, please leave that in the comments. I will definitely get that merch up for you guys soon. And then over here, this is a teddy bear vine, so it's almost like a velvet version of a tradescantia. Now with this plant, I've seen some super full and healthy looking ones. The only problem I have with the teddy bear vine is it becomes very leggy if you don't trim it back. And then you can see here lots and lots of beautiful plants. I just want to pan over and keep showing you. We've got a beautiful Epipremnum aureum global green pothos. Again, with global green pothos, the one thing I will say, plant foldies, is this plant's variegation, that green on green variegation, is really influenced by the amount of light you give it. The more bright light you give it, the better the coloration will be. You'll see the green and green variegation more. They'll just be a higher contrast. Same thing with the Scindapsus trubeii moonlight. Like if you give this more bright light, you'll get more of a silvery tone about it. Now, both of those plants I picked up are for $19.84. Here is another trending tropicals Costa Farms plant. This is a Monstera Peru. And I did want to thank Gloria, who is another plant foldie that I met in person. She actually recognized me filming at a Callaway's nursery, which is a local plant nursery out in McKinney, Texas. Super excited to have met her, and she ended up giving me a Monstera Peru as a gift as well when we met up again at North Haven Garden. So thank you, Gloria, for tuning in and making my work feel value. You know, I can't thank all of you plant foldies enough that continue to go to my live premiere chats, to continue to encourage me, just to continue to actually engage with me. I think that's so awesome. And I love the fact that we are starting to really build a solid community of people who love plants. And then over here, we've got a pineapple bromeliad. Look at how cute that little pineapple is for that bromeliad. I didn't realize that pineapples in general are part of the bromeliad family. That one is also for $17.97. There are a lot of plants here, and I will say, at least for this Walmart, while all of the plants are all on one table, they did attempt to keep them similar, or at least merchandise them similar. You know, some Walmarts have better organization than others. I would say this one is in the medium grade. I wouldn't say it's the best plant styling or merchandising, but it's definitely not the worst. I've seen it where there's one particular Walmart that I really wish, if they just took the time to organize the plants, it would just be more inspiring to buy more plants. This is another example of a beautiful geoplant, or a geonanthus plant. I don't really know a lot about the plant care tips. What I do know is it's stunning. It's a beautiful dark foliage plant. And for those that have watched my videos, I love dark plants. I love pink plants. I love neon color plants, but this is such a beautiful plant. I've heard that it is more of a finicky plant. So for anybody that has grown a geo plant, if you can leave that in the comments about the care tips and what your experience will be with that plant, or have been with that plant, just let me know. And then over here, we've got some fancy alocasia. This is an alocasia Milo Light by Growers Bench. Now, this one is also for $17.97. When you touch the leaves, it's got a very leathery texture to the leaves, and I love it. And then over here, we've got an alocasia cuprea. This is also for $17.97. I'm sorry. Love the dark foliage of this. I always just find the alocasia cuprea to be a very delicate, fragile looking type of alocasia. You can see that the stems are like a little bit more flimsy, and even the leaves, but some people really like that. It's an okay plant for me. Now, this one right here is another alocasia Milo Light. When you touch the leaves, though, they're so leathery. It literally feels like leather. It doesn't even feel like a real plant. And then over here, we've got another alocasia. Maybe it's an alocasia nebula. I do like the stems and how it has like some speckling, and then the purple undersides. That's the thing about alocasia. There's so many different varieties of alocasia and have so many like leaf interests. It's such a beautiful genus of plants. The only problem with alocasia is they are a bit challenging of a plant to grow. I mean, over here you can see this is another alocasia black velvet. Nice looking plant. velvety leaves, but it is spider mite prone. A lot of alocasias are spider mite prone, and you really have to stay on top of the watering. And I'm surprised that I did not kill some of the alocasia because I really have neglected a lot of my plants when it comes to the watering. Part of it is because I live a very busy lifestyle. So, you know, when I have a job that really is, I'm a salaried manager, so it takes a lot out of me. And then, you know, whenever I have free time, I end up using it up for plant shopping videos. So that's one thing I am improving or trying to improve on, is just more consistency on the watering. But I'm gonna just go ahead and keep showing you some of these plants, and then just let me know in the comments what you think of them. Now we're gonna go outside and check out what is going on in the outdoor section. So a lot of you guys like the indoor tropical plants, but my plant YouTube channel also will feature outdoor plants. You know, my love for plants kind of stems for all different types of plants. I even like vegetables, I like bonsai, I like Japanese maples, I love it all. So we're gonna just take a look at some of the outdoor plants. It is interesting that this big box store does have some indoor tropical plants. Notice here how we've got some Dracaena. This one is a Dracaena lemon lime. This one is by Garden Expert, but the Garden Expert line is basically Walmart's plant name brand. This is actually sourced out by Costa Farms. This one is only for $9.97 in a 6-inch planter. It is a plant I would highly recommend for anybody that is starting to grow plants because it's an easy to care for beginner plant. You can see over here is another Dracaena. This is a Dracaena Janet Craig compacta for $9.97. And again, this is another plant that I would recommend just because it's an easy care for plant. It is another plant that, you know, it's very underrated. And I always feel like if a plant isn't expensive or rare, sometimes they're just kind of seen or overlooked. You know, one common plant that is never really overseen or overlooked would be a pothos plant. But when it comes to like Dracaenas, they just tend to be overlooked. And then I'm not really a fan of ferns, but we've got a Boston fern there for $9.97. And then we've got all of these island bloom plants by Costa Farm. So these are all of the outdoor tropical landscaping plants that you can put in containers. So we've got some mandevilla flowers, we've got some hibiscus, and then we also have these cordyline tea plants. So this one is for $5.84. This one almost looks like a Dracaena, but it is a cordyline plant. I do love the look of cordyline plants. They are a plant though that is challenging to grow indoors because they're very much spider mite prone. And then we've got a bunch of mandevilla flowers here. As I pan away, it is a nice sunny late afternoon, and you can see that they've also brought up a lot of the outdoor large foliage plants. It looks like they had a surplus, and then they've got a shipper here which unfortunately looks kind of beat up. You can see here they've got a gold crest Aurelia. This one is by Costa Farms again. This one is for $5.48. I've collected a couple of these, and I'm actually tempted to buy more Costa Farm exotic angel plants. These starter plants are really cool, and they're pretty good value. I love that the yellow edges of the leaves. And then over here, we're looking at an Epipremnum aureum neon pothos. Again, this is only for $4.98. Easy care for plant. Now, I would say I would rather buy something larger because you can get one for like $12.99 in a 6-inch planter. This one is a pia tree plant. And then over here, we've got a purple passion plant for $5.48. We've got a Syngonium Maria here. I love Syngonium Maria. Look at how the foliage is dark. It does become even more, has a better coloration, like being more dark when it does get a lot of bright indirect light. I do like the dark stems as well. Syngonium is another easy to care for plant. It's also known as the arrowhead plant. It was one of my first plants I've ever grown as a house plant. It was actually a Syngonium white butterfly. And then over here, we've got some Fittonia plants. Fittonia, it's another plant that I don't really want to put in my collection because I know that I'm pretty negligent when it comes to like watering my plants, and that one requires a lot more water than I'm used to like watering my plants. And then you can see here, we've got a bunch of monstera deliciosas, ficus liratas, just large foliage plants. These are all for $24.97. My only concern is with all of these indoor tropical plants outside, the amount of light that they're getting may end up burning their leaves because they are exposed to almost full sun outside. So we'll see what that looks like. I may go back here and just check an update, but that's the only frustrating thing when it comes to like big box stores. I always feel like I am saying something negative about big box stores, but I am a little just more critical because my love for plants, like I just hate how so many plants at a big box store end up getting in the trash or being thrown away because of the care that, you know, potentially was not given to them. But needless to say, something like this is Hoya Wyetii, for instance, is also for $19.84 in a hanging basket. You can go to like big box stores, and that's the big draw, right? Whenever you're plant shopping at a big box store, is you get the most inexpensive plant pricing. I would say for the most part, there's just some pros and cons to it, and I would say one of the pros is definitely the plant pricing you get from a big box store like Walmart. But then the con would be maybe the health of the plant may not be the best. Maybe the selection of the plants may not be as big as like a local plant nursery. So you know, all in all, that's the reason why at Growfold, with my daily plant shopping videos, I try to do big box stores, I try to do grocery stores, as well as local plant nurseries out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's where I'm based at, and I'm really thankful that for the most part, based on y'all's comments, that you said a lot of our big box stores are still super full. Like, I mean, look at it right here. We've got a bunch of Cordyline Hawaiian tea plants, $5.84. You can see here, it does get a little bit leggy. Now, as a Cordyline Hawaiian tea plant matures, it gets a little bit more woody on the base, but this is another plant that if you give it a lot of bright light or even full sun, you'll get more of the pinks, more variegation out of it. But we're just gonna keep walking over here, and I'll just show you what other plants that they have, and then just let me know in the comments which plants you enjoy seeing. And you can see that I passed by a bunch of these outdoor gardening plants. Now we're looking at a bunch of assorted vegetable plants as well as herbs. So you can see there's a plethora of pepper plants, tomato plants, and I will say homegrown tomatoes are the best tomatoes you can get there. And then I'm going to pan over here, and you can see we've got a bunch of Majesty palms. Majesty palms are so readily available, but you know, when it comes to like even watching other plant YouTubers or people who do YouTube videos about plants, I don't really see a lot of people talking about, you know, Majesty palms being in their plant collection. I almost feel like Majesty palms are more based for like businesses or doctors' offices and not necessarily in somebody's personal plant collection. I could be wrong, but that's really what my observation has been. Same thing with these Dieffenbachias. Now these have some super gorgeous variegation on that Dieffenbachia. It's super light. The only thing about Dieffenbachia is it is a finicky plant. It is another plant that's a little bit more challenging to grow because it requires a lot of bright indirect light. Obviously, they don't want to take full sun, but they do need a lot of light. They are a little bit more susceptible to spider mites. And that's the thing about plant shopping and plant collecting, growing plants. You really have to be aware of some of the plant pests that are potential for a certain plant, because then you're a little bit more educated. That is one of my goals, and that's the reason why I will literally talk for an entire hour about plant shopping and plant care, just because I want to educate people about what I know about certain plants. Now this one right here is a Dracaena as well. This is another common Dracaena that you will see at any big box store. I do like the green striping. This one can get fairly large. Now this one is for, I believe, 1984 as well. So you can get some pretty nice size ones. Yep, 1984. Really like this in the fact that it is in a 10-inch planter. This one can tolerate lower light conditions, which makes it an easier to care for plant. Right next to it is that Dieffenbachia. You know, Dieffenbachia are infamous for becoming leggy when they don't get enough light. They can just be finicky because they are spider mite prone. So that is one of the things where certain plants are just not meant for everybody. It's kind of like when I have obsessed over Hydra Helix. I love English ivy, but I've realized that I cannot grow them indoors. I just have, you know, killed about 13 of them. The 2 that I'm growing now are growing outside, and they're pushing out a lot of new growth, and they are thriving. So there's just certain plants that just do better for others. I have a good friend, his name is Isaac, and he actually has a YouTube channel. It's called Hi JR Sings. He has been able to grow a Hedera Helix for about 2.5 months. Little care, and it has not gotten spider mites, and it is growing. So I'm just a little bit jealous. Maybe it's just something about maybe the space that you put plants in. And then you can see here, we do have some beautiful Dracaena and sago palms. I'm gonna pan over here again and show you all of the other plants that are back indoors just one last time. But you can see that this Walmart has an okay location. I think as summer hits, the types of plants that are hitting big box stores may have slowed down. I have seen a lot of grocery stores really up their game when it comes to a selection of plants. So we're going to definitely see that in the next location we visit. But I did want to walk over here again and just show you how beautiful these anthuriums are. Now, plant folies, let me know in the comments what other plants you want me to feature, what other content you want me to show. I am open to feedback. I did read some of the feedback about possibly not talking through the entire video and maybe having some spurts of just having background. So that is what I'm going to do right now, is just kind of pan over and show you all of the beautiful plants. So for the most part, I would say, you know, this is an okay Walmart. You can still get your easy to care for plants. You can still get plants at a fairly inexpensive price. I am all about, you know, saving money when it comes to plant and just really having your plant shopping budget available. And that's the thing about my channel. If you are subscribed to it, especially if you're a local plant foldy or somebody that lives out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you'll at least know what the current pricing is for the plants. You know, I'm pretty satisfied though. I actually was surprised that there were quite a bit of plants here. I would have liked to see more hanging baskets, but you know, for the most part, just to be able to see a Genanthus plant, that dark foliage plant, is really awesome. So I hope that everybody so far has been enjoying your day. We're going to be heading out to the next location, but you can see here, this is the Plano Walmart out here. And then now we're going to be going to go grocery store plant shopping at the HEB grocery store out in Frisco, Texas. This is the one off of Preston Road. And I tell you what, this is one of the best places to go plant shopping. They are a little bit more established when it comes to their plants. I typically go to the McKinney, Texas HEB. And for those that are not aware of what HEB is, it is a grocery store that can only be found in Texas. Most of the products out at HEB are locally sourced throughout Texas, including their plants. They have a line called Max and Miles, so they have some rare and uncommon plants that you can find. And a lot of the plants are also grown in Texas. Obviously, they will have some Costa Farms plants and some Mason Farms plants. You know, not every, you know, we can't source out all of it, but we're going to go ahead and see what they have here. I would recommend shopping at HEB because I have found some very cost-effective pricing when it comes to plants. Like you can see here, crepe myrtles for $24.97. Crepe myrtles are awesome. And then we're just going to see some of these plants. So all of these plants right here, we've got a trade Scianthia Nanook, I believe, right there for $6. We've got some type of Hoya that I'm not 100% sure are $6 as well. I will say a lot of these plants probably need to be clearanced out a little bit sore or just marked down because they're not the best healthy looking plants. Now this is some interesting Hydra Helix. Not sure what Hedera helix or English ivy this is, but look at that variegation. Very unique. It's got some splotchy variegation there. And then we've got some Croton petras. Now, Croton plants in general require a lot of bright light. I actually grow these outside in full sun. I feel like growing crotons, even this Croton mame here, for instance, these are for $6, need to be out in full sun or need to be outside. Crotons don't do as well for me indoors. Now, plant foldies or anybody watching, let me know if you actually have successfully grown a Croton plant indoors. And then over here, we've got a rubber plant or a Ficus elastica. This one is the ruby. It's got more of a red tint to its leaves. That one needs a lot of bright indirect light. Truthfully, all ficus plants need light. So that's the one thing about certain genus. You'll be able to have similar care tips because, for instance, like crotons, no matter what croton you have, and this one's kind of interesting because the base has become a little bit more woody. This is another Croton petra. If you notice that the other two that I picked up didn't have nearly as much coloration as that. Crotons in general, the light influences what kind of coloration you get. And I love touching the leaves of a China doll plant. Now, the only thing about the China doll plant is they look beautiful. I can't grow them. The reason why I can't grow them is they are a very thirsty plant. Like if you do not water them often, they will shrivel up, crisp up, and die. So unfortunately, that is another plant I can't add into my collection. And that's what I would recommend plant foldies is really assess your lifestyle, really assess what time you have that you can invest into your plant care, what your lighting conditions are, what your budget is, because you know, certain plants we might be gravitating to them, but if they're out of our budget and then also not within the range of our lifestyle, the amount of time we can get it, I just wouldn't recommend it. I mean, like for instance here, I really want to buy this alocasia. These alocasias are absolutely stunning. The problem is I don't have the space for a large alocasia like that. And I already know when it comes to alocasia, they're just a finicky plant. Same thing with a Dieffenbachia. Like I love Dieffenbachias as well. Like this one is beautiful. It looks beautiful right now, but if you take it into your home and you don't provide it with the right lighting conditions, watering conditions, care conditions, pest control, it will very quickly become a leggy and unhealthy plant. Now here is a plant that is easy to care for. It is so beautiful as well. This is what you call a peperomia raindrop, or sometimes it's also called the peperomia owl's eye. Look at how like rubbery and waxy the leaves are. It has a succulent feel about it. Now this one is sourced out by Mason Farms, which is a plant nursery or plant supplier based out in New Mexico, Texas. They typically source plants to grocery stores. So you can see this one is also a beautiful plant. This one I believe is for $19.97. It's actually a pretty good price for a peperomia, and peperomias are plants that I would recommend. I have found that they're actually easy to care for plants. And then you can see right here, we've got some Calesia repens, which are similar to Tradescantia. Look at that right here. It is a nice full plant, and these are HEB source plants, and these are only for $12.97. So HEB has a bunch of hanging basket plants for a really nice price. And then we have some Costa Farms plants right over here. This is an Aglaonema Silver Bay. What a beautiful plant. What an easy to care for plant. What a common plant, but it is a plant that I would recommend for anybody that wants to grow an easy to care for plant. Aglaonemas by far are one of the most underrated plants. I don't think people are really rushing to even get aglaonemas, even like the rare and uncommon varieties. I noticed that when I went to PlantCon 2024 in Houston, Texas, there was a lot of beautiful aglaonema rare ones, but nobody was really paying attention to it. So I'm just curious. And you know, plant foldies, I really love engagement. So seriously, if you can, give me your insights on aglaonemas. Why do you think aglaonemas are not necessarily you know, a plant that's really sought after? I'd really love your opinion, so please leave that in the comments. And as I pan away here, you can see lots of huge Monstera deliciosas. I love the green form, you know, the simple green form of a Monstera deliciosa is so stylish and modern as well. And then you can see here we've got the clearance plants, or what you call the rescue me plants. This one is a New Guinea impatient. You can see this is only for $2.24 in a hanging basket. And you've got a bunch of assorted herbs, succulent arrangements. All of these plants are on clearance. So you can save some money by buying clearance plants. And then you can see they've got a bunch of roses here that are not in bloom. Truthfully, that's not a bad price at all for some of these clearance plant roses. I mean, that is for $5.74. I would trim the bush back down so I can encourage more new growth. Now, if you're going to ask me some of my favorite planters, it would definitely be terracotta planters, specifically the ones that don't have a lip. I like the ones that are just smooth and don't really have texture like these. These are so beautiful. I love terracotta planters. Now, for terracotta planters, these planters actually get rid of a lot of moisture. So if you are what you call an overwaterer, or somebody that waters their plants a little bit more frequently, you might want to grow your plants in terracotta planters like that, because it gets rid of the moisture, meaning the soil doesn't stay soggy and moist too long, which could prevent getting root rot. So I like that terracotta planters are nice. For me, I don't really need to be growing my plants in terracotta planters because I don't really like water in general. And you can see HEB has a bunch of soil amendments as well. We'll get into that in just a sec, but you can see this is a Dieffenbachia snow. It's a cool Dieffenbachia. I'm glad that they actually named it. Again, with Dieffenbachia, they can get large. They are not pet friendly. So if you have a dog, a cat, a pet, or even have small children, they can be a little toxic if you cut the leaves. So just have caution on that. And then we've got some more peperomia right over here. This is another peperomia raindrop. Like, you've got to enjoy the fact that it's got a shiny leaf about it. The texture of the leaves are smooth and silky, and it is a plant that can get fairly large. It almost reminds me of a Pilea peperomoides, or the Chinese money plant, or the UFO plant. And then you can see here we've got a bunch of other plants available. I did want to show you this. So this is a potting soil I would recommend. This is a Fox Farms potting soil. This is for $8.97. I really like that. But HEB offers a really large bag for only $20.97. I definitely would like to add that. I definitely want to get some high quality potting soil. And I always buy this perlite, top shelf perlite. These are organic, and this is Texas proud, so it is sourced out by, somewhere in Texas. Perlite is another good soil amendment to make your soil a little bit more fast draining. I always add that to my potting mix, even for plants that require more moist soils. I just feel like it doesn't keep the soil soggy, and that's what I need for my plants. It is a way to prevent root rot as well, and so adding like perlite would be a great addition. And you can see more plants here. I'm just going to pick up some and just show you what they had, like this Croton petra. And you can see we've got some banana plants here for $12.97. This one has a little bit of variegation. These are readily available. They don't really do well from my grow zone, which is 8B. So if you're going to grow that in the landscape, know that it's going to be more of an annual plant versus perennial, at least for my grow zone. And then you can see here, we've even got some larger alocasias here. Like, look at how huge this one is. Like, it is massive, and this plant can actually be grown out in the landscape in my grow zone, and it can be a perennial. It will be a plant that will get large like this, but then die back in the winter, and then the bulbs will just grow again in the late spring, early summer. It just needs more warmer conditions for the bulbs to pop up. And then we've got some Dracaenas right here. This one is a Dracaena Massangiana, or a cane Dracaena, next to some Sansevieras. These are all Costa Farms plants. I think they're like $54.97. These are large foliage plants, so I can see why they're a little bit more costly. But needless to say, they're both easy to care for plants. most people will think this is a Hydra helix, but it's not. This is actually an Algerian ivy. It's got larger foliage on it, but I would say that it's probably as susceptible to spider mites as a Hedera helix. And then we have some ZZ plants here. I really like this pinwheel right here. Isn't that lovely? And then just the sky and just the weather, even though it's hot, it is a beautiful clear day, sunny day out in North Dallas. And you can see HEB has so many beautiful planters as well. So we're just gonna pass by over here. We are gonna make our way into the actual grocery store to see what plants they have in the floral section. I have been able to find some rare philodendrons, some monstera Thai constellations. Those are all plants that I am always looking for. And then this is like some of the planters that I like. I like that blue look on it. And then you can see that's that ocean forest potting mix. That is a large bag for $20.97. That is not a bad price at all. And then you can see we've got some dark foliage crepe myrtles for $24.97. Now, crepe myrtles do extremely well in hotter conditions. They bloom in the summer and there's so many varieties. The dark foliage ones, though, have become a recent addition. It's a recent hybrid. I would say they started to really get popular about 4 to 5 years ago when they started popping up at big box stores and grocery stores, as well as local plant nurseries. Cosmos plants. I love the look of Cosmos flowers. These are for $4.97. Cosmo are also flowers that need to be out in full sun. They do very well in like full sun flower beds. They come in many different colors and varieties, and they're just easy to grow as well. This one almost looks like a marigold. And so you can see that there are flowering plants that you can find at a grocery store. Again, this is another plant. This one is a Celosa lizard's leaf plant. So this almost looks like another blood leaf plant, but this one has a flower here. Love the dark foliage plant. What a beautiful looking plant this is. And this is another plant that I would try to grow indoors, or at least put in a container to where I can bring them indoors. I really love that dark foliage plant. It almost looks like a blood leaf plant, but it has a bloom on it. So cool looking plant as well, that is sourced out locally from Texas. You can see that this is a close-up of all of these other plants. We're gonna make our way into the indoor section, but I did want to pan over here and show you this beautiful rose. This is a knockout rose, but it is in the tree form. So we're gonna see as we enter, there is a huge fixture of indoor plants. The ones on the bottom are for $32.97. Look at how beautiful that is. So we've got spathiphyllum, we've got hanging baskets of pothos for $14.97. We're going to look at all of these plants, and the cool thing is every single plant that's on here are for the most part easy to care for plants. Spathiphyllum or peace lilies are beautiful. I love how large their leaves get. They are very much a low light tolerant plant. And then we can see that this is a beautiful Dracaena right here. Like honestly, for $32.97, that is not a bad price at all. And this is sourced out by Mason Farms. This is a Dracaena Marley. Look at that. That is is such a huge plant, and what's cool about it is this plant it just looks perfect. Like there's no damage to the leaves. It is huge and can tolerate a low light area in your home. So if you want to put that in a dark corner in your home, it will still grow. It wouldn't necessarily grow fast, but it won't actually decline in its health. That's why I always recommend dracaenas for anybody that likes an easy to care for plant. Now here are a bunch of aglaonema silver bays, and this is also by Costa Farms as well. Look at how large that leaf is. I love the silver foliage. Now this plant can tolerate lower light conditions, but the best silver color will come from when you give that plant more bright light. And then these are for $14.97, a huge hanging basket of pothos ivy or Epipremnum aureum. That's the golden pothos. And then we have some Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf trees. These are actually a really nice size for $32.97. I may end up getting one of these plants eventually. Like I do think that fiddle fig leaf are beautiful. They are a little bit of a fussy plant because they need a lot of light and they require more consistency in the watering. And what I mean by that is if you're going to water them, you need to water them maybe like once a week. If you go once a week and then all of a sudden don't water it for like 3 weeks, any changes in consistency, whether it's the placement or not, can really impact the Ficus lyrata. But this dracaena is just gorgeous. And now we're going to be looking at some of the plants in here. Now HEB has what they call the Max and Miles line. You can see these are a bunch of alocasias. These are Alocasia bambinos, which are basically more of a dwarf compact alocasia. I don't know what the price is, but I would assume this is probably like $14.97. I'm not really a fan of the textured planter, but I will say I am a huge fan of HEB plants in general because they are typically cost effective and they always come up with different plants. Like this one right here, I don't know if this is a philodendron. I would say this is a philodendron red imperial or maybe a black cardinal. I'm going to go say that this is a red imperial. Easy to care for plant. Philodendron, that one just needs bright indirect light. This one is a sorry, not a calathea. This is a Stromanthe trio star. It doesn't have the best coloration. Like typically if I'm looking for some Stromanthe trio star, I like the pinks, but it is still a beautiful plant. It is easier to take care of versus like a calathea. It's a little bit more forgiving. And you can see, look at this foliage select series. This one must be either a philodendron black cardinal or a philodendron red imperial. Either way, it is a plant that I need to add back into my collection. I ended up killing the other one, but that's literally because I didn't water it for 2 months. It was in the top cabinet of my kitchen and I just never paid attention to it and it just ended up dying. So that's the thing, plant folies. As much as I love plants, I am nowhere near a perfect plant grower. I am constantly learning. I am constantly just making mistakes. And I think when you make a mistake, even in your plant care, if you end up killing a plant, just kind of reevaluate what could have potentially gone wrong. For me, a lot of my plants is literally just through neglect. It's not me overwatering. It's literally because I did not water the plant. So, you know, that's just, you know, me being very transparent. And that's the thing about this plant folding community. If you do enjoy like plant shopping videos and, you know, want to hear me talk about plants or even just blog about my personal life, this is definitely the plant YouTube videos you want to go check out. I am going to be going to the Philippines next Thursday for about 18 days. So I have some scheduled marathons and compilations of videos of plants. I hope you guys will still tune in. They are typically going to be about 2 hour long, maybe even longer. And I wanted that so that way all of our plant foldies or the ones that really just enjoy interacting during the live premiere chats will have plenty of time to have like a plant party. And then over here, we've got a philodendron pink princess. Again, I'm not 100% sure what the plant pricing is. I would guess that it's going to be in the $20 range. This one has an okay variegation for philodendron pink princess. So if you're going to buy philodendron pink princess, especially now when they're readily available, I would be very selective of the variegation. Philodendron pink princess, if it doesn't really have high variegation, adding a lot more light to it will not influence the pink. So you want to make sure you have one that has some good genetics. This one is a philodendron white princess. Look at how beautiful that is. Again, I don't really know the price for this. Typically on the bottom, they'll have the plant price listed. For some reason it doesn't, but there are about 4 philodendron white princess. This one probably has the best variegation. And again, with philodendron white princess, just like the philodendron pink princess, you want to provide it, you want to give it a lot of bright light, but a lot of the variegation is really based on the initial genetics of the plant. Like this one really has some nice you know, variegation. Look at that half moon right over there. That's so beautiful. And look at all of that white. I do find that the white on a white princess doesn't necessarily brown up or crisp up, especially if you use this solution, this plant solution called Protect, which is a silicone solution. It really makes the plant cells a little bit more sturdy. So I would recommend that, especially for your variegated plants, or one that you don't really want to like crisp up. You can buy that on Amazon. It's called Protect solution. And then over here we've got some bromeliads here. Again, this is another interesting plant that I have started to grow and to like. And then we've got a bunch of philodendron Birkin right over here. Now with philodendron Birkin, some of them are highly variegated and some of them are more green like this. I still like that philodendron Birkin have more of a compact growth pattern about it. It tends to be a little bit more compact and it doesn't get as leggy. And as you can see here, like HEB by far is one of my favorite places to go. This HEB is about 20 minutes away from where I'm based at, so it takes a little bit longer for me to go to it. But when I do, I always find some really cool plant discoveries, like this one right here. I'm not sure what type of syngonium this is, but it is another easy to care for plant. The only thing about syngoniums is you have to make sure you stay on top of the watering, because if you let it dry out for a long time, the plant will start to really decline in its health, meaning spider mites and potential pests will attack it. So just make sure if you stay on top of the watering on syngoniums, you won't have any issues. And you can see over here, we've got some bamboo plants here. Look at these really cool Asian inspired planters. Bamboo are also easy to grow. You can literally just grow them in water. Now in the wild, they are super invasive, so I would never recommend growing bamboo in the ground. These are the smaller bamboo though, they're considered the lucky bamboo. I don't really grow these in my collection. There's not really an interest for them. Some people will say feng shui, or what they call the way you arrange your area at your home based on what kind of luck you bring. Speaking of luck, for those that are wanting a monstera deliciosa and you live out in the Frisco, Texas area, go to this HEB, because this is only for $9.98. That is an extreme steal when it comes to it. This is in a 6-inch planter, and look at how large the leaves are. $9.98. I mean, these are already fenestrating leaves. That is a good price. Typically you'll pay $24 at a big box store, but at a grocery store you'll only pay $9.98 at HEB. And you can see here, this one is the Blooms by HEB. So these are basically indoor plant for $34.99. For instance, they've just taken some indoor plants and made like a little arrangement, like a gift basket. Not necessarily a plant that interested. I could do without the little bow and the gift basket, but you know, some people want to give these as gifts. This is another Hydra Helix. Gotta love that Hydra Helix, but it's interesting. They've got a Hydra Helix right next to a Kalanchoe for this little gift basket. It is trailing though. It is a beautiful English ivy. Let's go see how much the price is. That one is actually pretty pricey for that plant. I'll pass. But you can see they've got several different arrangements. This one is a juvenile form of a monstera deliciosa. We've got some Tradescanthia nanux right over here. And then what else do we have? We have a bunch of colorful Kalanchoe. Kalanchoe are succulent plants. These ones are the floral ones that will bloom. These require a lot of bright light because it is a succulent. It is another plant that if you provide it with a lot of bright light, it will keep reblooming and reblooming and reblooming. I do like the yellow, but my favorite Kalanchoe flowering one would have to be either a white, a pink, or an orange. Either way, they're just beautiful and they're readily available. Again, I always wonder why certain plants have so much like bromeliads, Kalanchoe. Like, is the propagation process easy to produce them? And you can see here, there's just even more plants, and it is a grocery store, and you already know plant foldies based on all of the plant shopping videos I've been doing for the last 5 months. Phalaenopsis orchids are always going to be available at a grocery store, and this is another example of that. These are by Max and Miles. You can see that they also have their version of cascading Phalaenopsis orchids. Now, the care for Phalaenopsis orchids is you want to grow them in a medium that is orchid bark. Never plant an orchid in soil. Never let the orchid roots stay waterlogged. They prefer to be more on the drier side. If you can provide them with more bright indirect light, that is best, because you know Phalaenopsis orchids are considered epiphytes, or in the wild they like to attach themselves versus being planted in the ground. You can get away with not watering them too often, and you can see right here if the roots are a little bit more on that green look about it, that means that the roots are still they don't need water. Now if it's more of a silver gray tone, you can water it. I would say with Phalaenopsis orchids you can water them maybe a good soak once every 2 weeks. You just have to really play it by ear. You definitely don't want them waterlogged, and you can see here their roots are already popping out. Now for those that have asked, how long does a Phalaenopsis orchid bloom last? It can last for about a month and a half, and then they die. But you can see whenever you're going big box store plant shopping or grocery store plant shopping for Phalaenopsis orchids, I would always recommend buying a Phalaenopsis orchid that has a couple of buds that have not opened up yet. That way you'll have the blooms last a little bit longer. As far as fertilizer, you can just get an all-purpose fertilizer for orchids. They have the ones that you can spray, and you can spray the leaves and also spray the roots, so it's more direct. And I will say these Max and Miles succulents for $8 and I think 98 cents look gorgeous. Now this is some type of Echeveria plant. That's all I know, but I'm not sure what particular one. Look at the center, how beautiful that pink is, how it's illuminated. It's very precious. And with all of these succulent plants, again, they're easy to propagate. You can actually take a piece of that leaf, put it on top of some soil, mist it, and then it will also root babies. You can see right here, this is a crassula or a jade plant, and jade plants are probably the one succulent that I'm most familiar with because I grew up, my grandmother and my mom would grow jade plants. Didn't realize though until I started doing plant shopping videos the amount of different types of crassula or jade plant. And you can see here just beautiful succulents. They've got more of these Phalaenopsis orchids here. Look at that. I'm just going to keep panning over and showing you some plants. Those Phalaenopsis orchids were just lovely. I want to add, I want to make a Phalaenopsis orchid wall at some point in my home. And then you've got some Epipremnum aureum marble queen pothos here. These are all for $9.98. Would you buy this Epipremnum aureum marble queen pothos? Let me know in the comments. That is not a bad price at all, and it looks super healthy. I love the variegation. And with this marble queen pothos, you just want to make sure you give it a lot of light in order for it to have that nice cream variegation. Here we've got a Peperomia Golden Gate, beautiful Peperomia. Again, this is only for $9.98. HEB has some really nice plants at a very good price. You can see here, this is another Pilea peperomoides, or that Chinese money tree plant. I really love that as well for $9.98. So you can definitely save a lot of money at a grocery store if you're going to go plant shopping. It's definitely going to be more easy on your wallet versus going to a local plant nursery. And you can even see all of these succulents, these premium succulent plants. Look at how beautiful this Echeveria is. I would say all of these plants that are these succulents, I would be tempted to buy and start a succulent collection. I have 2 succulents so far. Those are 2 pink Aeoniums that I have. And again, plant foldies, if you want to see a house plant tour or even my Coleus plant tour, please leave that in the comments. If I get enough interest in the comments section, I may expedite making those videos, maybe even before I go on my vacation to the Philippines. But overall, I am very satisfied with the plants I've found so far at HEB. For those that make HEB, if you've actually go to HEB, what plants have you seen? I am looking again for that variegated domesticatum. Also, a philodendron strawberry shake was found. I ended up being able to buy one. And then you can see here, this is a beautiful peperomia. I do love these peperomias right over here. Look at that purple, and this is also for $9.98. I was almost tempted to buy this one, but again, since I am going on vacation, I am refraining from adding any more plants to my collection. I still have to figure out how I'm going to get these plants watered, who's going to take care of them. So it is a little bit of a stressor for me. So plant foldies, if you want to volunteer to water my plants and take care of them, leave that in the comments as well. Know that I will be able to provide you guys with some content. It may not be the most brand new content, but just know when I come back from my vacation, I will have so many cool content. I recently bought an iPad. That way I can store a bunch of videos, so I can have so many content for my vacation. But you can see here, HEB. I love HEB. I feel fortunate to be able to go to these different types of grocery stores and big box stores in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You know, as always, for all my plant foldies that continue to go visit my videos and watch them, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. If you made it this far, please make sure you are hitting that like button. I cannot tell you how much it helps my videos get pushed out to more plant lovers like yourself, and it just really validates that I am doing a pretty good job in terms of providing plant shopping videos. You know, my goal is to have one every single day, just because consistency is key, or that's what I've been told, and it's part of my lifestyle. I look forward to having these live premiere chats to chat with you guys. But you can see all of these beautiful plants by Max and Miles at HEB. You've got to definitely take a look at HEB plants, like these peperomias right here. I just can't help but like zoom in and show you all of these plants. So as always, if you made it this far, please, 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 plant foldies, please hit that like button. Would really love for you to do that. And definitely hit the subscribe button with the notification bell on. This is Richie at Grow Folds. Have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.